are meeting.
Yes.
But the light is crossing somewhere before there. Is that characteristic of short sight?
Now, you look at that image, you see the structure of the eye. Okay, the light, like you said, is coming in from outside, and then it goes through the cornea and then to the lens. Now, the structures, the cornea, the lens, they are supposed to help focus the light rays on the retina for the brain to be able to...
That's the back of the eye.
The back of the eye. Now, that's the photosensitive tissue, which is the retina, the kind of, what will you call it, orange color, some will say pinkish, okay? Now, when it lands, it's supposed to land on the retina for the brain to be able to see the images as clear and complete.
Okay.
Now, for the short-sighted person, it has to do more with a structural problem.
Okay.
It's just like a very quick illustration would be when you have someone who is too tall or someone who is too short.
So is something wrong with the size of the eye or
yes.
the shape of the eye?
The length of the eyeball is usually longer than normal in some cases, or you could say the cornea is too steep. So when the light rays come, because of the extra length, I'm using very simple terms now, it lands in front of the retina instead of directly on the retina. Now that leads to what we call blur vision at distance. Now, blur vision at distance varies from one person who has short-sightedness to another person who has short-sightedness. And not to put this in perspective, you could have a combination of problems. You could have someone who has what we call myopic astigmatism. You could have someone who has myopia in one eye and hyperopia in another eye. Okay, so it's just for the eye care
So it
provider.
doesn't follow that the structural problem of one eye would mirror the structural problem of the other eye?
No. In most cases, no. A significant portion of people do not have same prescriptions or same requirements in both eyes. So you could see one eye needing, maybe in our own terminology, what we call a -1, another needing a -5.
Okay.
But what the eye care provider is supposed to do is both eyes have to cooperate to see images clearly. If both eyes do not cooperate to see images clearly, what now, the illustration I would like to give now is having one leg shorter than the other. Okay. There is a deficiency somewhere. And the way the brain works is I knock off the images coming from the one that does not give me sufficient information and focus on the one that gives me sufficient information.
So what happens to the eye that is being, so to speak, knocked off?
Now, that eye that is knocked off now, we now call that term suppression. There's a suppression that person is going to experience there. You can only decode that by doing tests like what we call secondary degree fusion tests, like Watford dot test. Now, those are more technical tests. It's different from the average clinic routine test. For instance, when they bring in children with things like strabismus, amblyopia, like we mentioned earlier, those are the tests you want to do. You want to carry out things like your color vision test, for depth perception test, first degree.
We are becoming really technical. This looks like the normal vision.
Yes.
So this is what is supposed to happen then?
Exactly. The light rays coming from outside, which represents the blue line, landing on the retina. In the previous picture, you saw that the rays which were coming from outside were landing in front of the retina, which, like I explained, due to the structural problem, the cornea being too steep or the eyeballs being a little bit longer. Like, you know, in our local parlance, what we call big eyes.
Okay.
It's not what optically we call big eyes. What the average person will call big eyes will be, or extended eyes or protruding eyes, when you just see the eyes bulging out. But those people may even have beautiful vision, normal vision. But usually it has to do with the way like I said, the light rays are landing.
The story is behind the eye, really.
Behind what we can see with our naked eyes. So the fact that I open my eyes and I blink and I look good does not mean that the light rays are focusing properly on the retina.
Okay, if short sight or myopia is usually a structural problem of a long eyeball or something too great a distance, does far sight now mean a short eyeball?
Now, you could say that. Like I said, for the short-sighted person, let me say the eyes are overperforming in most cases. Now, what I mean is the cornea now is kind of like the reverse. It now has to do more with the cornea. Now, like I said, the light rays now, instead of landing on the retina, we have a situation where it lands behind the retina. So what happens is, for these people...
So there's no focus within the eye?
There's no focus proper focus, let me use that word, within the eye. So there are certain days, for hyperopes, it's kind of, it's neither here nor there. Sometimes it's difficult.
Can we use far sight or long sight?
Long-sightedness.
Make it easier for us to understand.
So for those kind of people, it's kind of when they have to read certain things, and now it could occur at different age groups.
That's another thing.
So when Mr. A manifests, is going to be different from when Mr. B manifests. So you could see a child who is 3 years old already manifesting, great symptoms of long-sightedness.
Do the eyes, are they completely formed and okay when a child is born?
No.
Okay, does that now mean that you can't exactly say what problem a child has?
Now, there are
since the eyes are still developing?
Now, there are basic landmarks we watch out in child development in terms of the optic disc.
You know why I'm asking
eyeball.
this? A lot of people say he's just a child. He can't wear glasses. It's like, how can a little boy, little girl wear glasses? They feel the child is just trying to get nice-looking frames. Okay. So you help us through that.
Or imitate their classmates who are already wearing glasses. Well, the truth is there is this general notion that if a child should not wear glasses. Glasses are for older people. What I say, if a child can have malaria, if a child can have other illnesses, then children too can have eye-related conditions. Now, it takes a smart parent to be able to know what to do, when to do, and how to do immediately. Because there are sometimes when you neglect this problem, then we now get to the stage we call amblyopia, which is very difficult to manage.
Okay, before we get to amblyopia, the information, statistics from World Health Organization specified over 5 years old. Why is that? Is there something about an under 5-year-old child and the eye?
Now, you see, even the statistics vary. It depends on the area and who is carrying whatever research. Some will tell you 6 years old, some will tell you 3 years old. Okay? Now, what happens is my growth rate may be different from another person's growth rate, but generally, at that age, you expect that the eyeballs are fully formed.
Okay.
Okay? Now, so it means if I am looking, and also too, it helps the doctor too, who is carrying out the test, because you need some kind of responses. Thank God for technology now. You could get the autorefractor, so I can get my own objective, evaluations about how this child is doing. So even if I have to see a 2-year-old, even 9-month-old children, sometimes you do not need their responses. The computers, the devices help me, to narrow down to know what is affecting this child or what is not affecting this child. So now, the doctors, what they do is, at birth, there are certain things you watch out for. You watch out for reflexes, basically. You want to look through to the retina to be sure there are no obstructions, things like what we call retinoblastoma. Now, that's a pathology, okay, that will now be transferred to another specialty to handle, because that's like a cancer in the eye. So basically, you want to, check for obstruction. You want to check for, is there anything that, as this child grows, will be a problem in
Just before we go further, we're talking about a child here. How does the child get to you? Because usually they don't bring a child for such things.
It's going to be, it has to be a complete package. The government has to be involved. We as doctors have to be involved. The parents have to be involved, because we have to keep singing it, shouting it through, programs like this and several other campaigns that, look, a child is just a little adult. And
everything that can happen to the adult can happen to the child.
We hear of children that have heart problems, kidney problems. Then they have eyes too. There could be eye challenges too.
All right, at this point, break time.
Thank you.
We take a short break and be right back, and then you can call in. Stay with us.